All right, how's it going, guys? It's Bangkok Adventures, and we are at the park. I'm afraid to say it, like Benjikiti or something like that. It's near the mall, Terminal 21. And it's kind of windy. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Let's see. Let's walk this way. The wind is very welcome because it is hot as hell today. So I will take the breeze. Yeah, I haven't done a video in a while. And the reason's pretty straightforward. The channel is not monetized. I don't have enough subs. I don't make any money for this. I make my money in other ways, so that's the priority. That takes my time. But I thought I'd do a video today, and I wanted to do something different, something I don't normally do. And I think I'm going to title it "Getting Out of Your Comfort Zone." Maybe it's a motivational speech. I don't know. You know, you guys know I'm an American. I'm living in Bangkok now, and I've touched on that a few times, how that happened, but I never got in depth how that actually happened. And the main thing there is getting out of your comfort zone. That is not something that you can do very easily. So I thought I'd just kind of tell the story. It's not a sexy story. You know, a lot of things go wrong. And people don't realize that. Like, you see some of these YouTube channels, some of these travel videos, and it's usually the guy with his girlfriend. They travel the world and everything's perfectly edited and it seems like everything's going fantastic. But if you saw behind the scenes, like getting on the wrong bus, they're fighting, of course none of this stuff gets onto the video, and these things are not easy to do, to get out of your comfort zone and create a channel and do things that are out of the norm. So again, I thought I'd just kind of like, maybe I'd tell my story here and show you what it really looks like to just do something you wouldn't normally do. And it doesn't always go that well. So I was living in Colorado at the time. I'm actually from Chicago, but I was in Colorado for about 4 years, and I got into writing. I was working a regular job during the day, but I was writing at night. And I wrote a couple of fantasy novels. They got some traction and they started making some money. And I'm like, my gosh, I could actually do this for a living. I think I can actually make some money. So I thought, I can't survive in America with this minimal amount of money, but I could survive somewhere else. And I had a friend, she's an author as well. She was much more established than I was. She was living in Bangkok, and just through our conversation, she's like, well, you can always do like I'm doing, come out here and be an expat, and the cost of living is much lower, so give it a shot. And I said, okay, I'm gonna try it. And thank goodness, without her I never could have done this. I needed her help, because it's not an intuitive thing with the visas and all the system. And so anyway, I to make a long story short there, I just donated all my stuff. Oh, look at this. Am I going the wrong way? No wonder everyone's coming at me. Okay, go back this way. So yeah, I just donated all my stuff. I'm like, clean sweep. I am moving to Bangkok. I'm going to start all the way over again. Kind of scary, you know. It's way out of your comfort zone. It's not a normal thing to do. I donated everything. I got my cat ready to go. That was actually the biggest problem. My cat, Bobcat, had to get all these shots. He had to get a chip in his neck. That's actually part of the procedure. Multiple trips to the vet. You need search like within 4 days of leaving. Like, that was really a mess. So I donated everything. I got my cat ready to go. I paid a service, and I was gonna meet my cat here in Bangkok. So then the night comes and I get the Uber ride, and my apartment is completely empty. I have nothing there. I'm like, oh my God, I'm leaving America right now. This is it. So me and the Uber driver are talking on the way to the airport, and I'm telling him what I'm doing. He's like, are you kidding me? You just gave away everything and you're just gonna up and go because of some online money you're making. I'm like, yeah, I wish you hadn't said it like that, but yeah. So he was impressed. He was like, wow, you got balls, man. I'm like, well, we'll see if it was a mistake or not. So I get to Denver airport. This part was really smooth. There's like nobody there. This was like 11 o'clock at night. The place is empty. Check in my bags and everything. And my flight's not gonna leave for like 4 hours. So I just found like a seat to sit down and take a little nap. And this was about the best it got, because it really went downhill after this. Actually, I got some little notes here I keep looking at to remind myself. Yeah, Denver to New York. I had to go to New York first. So when the flight finally left, and I kind of slept on the flight a little bit, I end up in New York, and from there I'm gonna get a flight to Doha. That's the first, and I don't even know where Doha is. I was there and I don't even know where it is. But I'm in New York now, and this is when the wheels just came off. Stupid shit started happening. I went and took a seat, like on the floor, near one of those, not an escalator, but those moving sidewalk things. I sit down. That's all I did. And I took a little rest, stood up, and my butt is completely soaked. And I'm like, oh my God. And I mean soaked, like you sat in a swimming pool. It was about as soaked as it could possibly be. I'm like, what did I just do? And I'm pulling my shirt down. I'm embarrassed, you know. I'm like, I'm as wet as a person can possibly be. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm trying to hide this. I don't know where my flight is supposed to be, like where the next plane to take me to Doha. So I asked somebody, and he's like, yeah, it's on the other side of the airport, man. You're not even close. And this is my own stupidity. I didn't realize my phone had to be set on auto to actually know what time it is. Like when you leave a time zone, if your phone's on auto, it knows what time it is. Mine was not. So I thought I was still in like Denver time, and it looks like I have to be on my plane in like 45 minutes. And I'm thinking, how did I miss that? When I made these arrangements, how did this escape me when I'm looking at the times and stuff? So I'm running, me and my wet ass are running across the airport as fast as I can. And I can't remember the flight anymore, but I know I ended up in a line because someone says, go here, go here. I'm asking questions, where do I go? Do I go here, go here, go here? And I saw signs for Blue Jet all over the place, and that's like an airline. And I wasn't Blue Jet, I was on something else, but I'm in the line for Blue Jet. And I just took their word for it, where I should have just been smart enough to challenge that and say, no, I'm in the wrong place, I'm in the wrong line. So I go through, you go through security. Security guy grabs me after the inspector's shoes and that kind of thing. The guy actually pulls me out of line. And I said, what's going on? What? He goes, I'll tell you in a second, I'll tell you in a second. And he's like frisking me and stuff, and he's going through my bags, and I'm like, what is happening? And then finally he goes, this is why I stopped you. And he points up at the screen, and there's that, like a heat lamp thing, the heat picture, and my ass is lit up like the sun. And it just looked so bizarre that they pulled me out of line. The wrong line, mind you. None of this should have happened. I'm actually in the wrong line. I shouldn't have been subjected to this in the first place. And I couldn't say a thing. You know, there was no words. And thankfully he didn't push, he didn't ask any more questions other than that. Sent me through. I end up, you know, asking one or two more questions. They're like, why did you even go? They look at my ticket, they're like, oh man, they sent you through. They put the pen mark where they check it off. They're like, they even checked you in. Like, no, you're over there. They point me to the next place. And again, I can't remember the airline anymore. But I mean, things were just going crazy. This was not going smooth at all. So, to make a long story short there, I do get on the right plane. I actually had plenty of time. I didn't realize that because I didn't know how to set my phone properly. So now I'm on a flight to Doha. Now that was uncomfortable. That was, I can't remember anymore, but it was like an 8-hour flight. It was really, really long, and everyone's cramped into this plane. Of course, they serve food and everything, but it was uncomfortable. You can't move for all that time. You'd get up and go to the bathroom just so you could stand up. So that part was brutal, but finally I land in Doha, and things are a little bit different in Asia. It's not like you step out of the plane and you know, they push that ramp or whatever, and the ramp goes right into the airport. It's like a stairs that goes straight down, and I'm looking straight down, like my eyes, because it's so steep. You take a misstep and you're gonna tumble, and I'm like the last person getting off the plane. So I'm going down these steps. I get to the last step and I look up, and I'm like in the middle of the desert, and there's nobody around me. I'm like, what the heck? Where's everybody? What, did they just leave me out here? And it was this moment of confusion, and then I see this, like a buggy, like a dune buggy, and it's about 40 feet away. The doors are open and everyone's calling to me. They're waving their arms. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get in this dune buggy, and that buggy is gonna take us to the airport. So I run to that, and I'm like the last person to get on, and it's really overstuffed. It's overcrowded. You can't close the doors. So I'm the door. I'm basically got my one hand on each side of the door, and we're going like 40 miles an hour through this desert. And every time they take like a not a turn, but just sort of like swerve, all the bodies come towards me, and I'm gripping the sides of the door, and I'm like flexing straight out with everybody's weight on me. I'm like, if I'm not strong enough to hold, at least 4 of us are tumbling onto the desert. Oh man, I will never forget that. So this is like the beginning of my journey. This is me packing up, giving away everything, and this is what's happened up to this point. Let's see, look at my notes here. Yeah, Doha, buggy in the desert. Yeah, and I finally get to Bangkok, and there's another flight from there. I get to Bangkok, I'm like, oh my god, I'm jet lagged. I can barely like stay awake. I never knew what jet lag really was. And I think it affects everybody differently, but for me it was like I can't stay awake. I can't keep my eyes open. So I'm there. I'm able to call the people who have my pet, Bobcat, my cat, and I finally meet up with them, and I see my cat for the first time in like, you know, 13 hours or whatever, and he didn't look good. You know, I was very concerned about it. He's a exotic short hair, and he had basically stopped taking care of himself. He was scared, so his eyes were all runny and stuff. But it was good to see him. I'm like, okay, finally a moment of familiarity, a moment of calm. I'm like, okay, get my cat, now what? And I got to get a taxi to try and find my the place that I had reserved online from America. And they're telling me, they're like, taxi is probably not going to take a pet, man. I don't know what you're gonna. I hadn't thought that far ahead, but I'm like, well, let's see, let's find out. So I got my bags, I got my pet in the cage, and I take my ticket. You get like a number, and then there's the taxi guy, and the first thing he sees me coming with the cat, with my bags, and he starts shaking his finger like, no cat. I'm like, oh, please, come on. I don't have any choice. There's nothing else I can do. And he just looks at all my stuff, and he goes, 500 baht. And he like waves his hand over everything. So my first experience in Bangkok is I have to pay a bribe to this guy to take me and my cat. I'm like, fine, I'll just pay it. That's like $15 US. I'm like, it is about double the price of what it would have been. So we get in the taxi, and we're driving down the highway and everything. We get to the area about where my place is supposed to be, because I given him the address, but we can't find it. And he's just kind of driving in circles. I can't help him, you know, I have no idea how Bangkok addresses work. And he stops, he gets out, he asks a lady, you know, they're all speaking in Thai, and then he gets back in. She didn't know, drives a little bit, gets out again, asks somebody else. And then he walks up to the side of the door, I'll never forget this, and he goes bang, and he punches the window. And I jumped. He's getting furious, he's getting mad. He's like, I want to get rid of this customer, this foreigner. I've had it with him. I don't know where this place is at. And my biggest fear right now is he's gonna dump me right here. I don't know where I'm at. And the thing is, the biggest problem with that is I'm not mobile. I have 2 big suitcases, and I've got my cat in a cage. I can pick everything up, move about 10 feet, and then set everything down. Like, I'm not mobile at all. And I'm like, if he lets me off here, I can't move, I can't go anywhere. So again, just to kind of cut that short, we did finally find the place. I saw the name of the hotel or the apartment building, and I was relieved. I'm like, oh, thank God. We get everything out. It's like 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. I don't know. It was really late. And then he drives off. You know, he's down. I'm done with this guy. He leaves me there. The door is locked. There's no doorman. I had no way to get in. I'm like, oh, come on. So I got my suitcases, I got my cat. We're like sitting on this porch in front of the building, no way to get in. And that was the first time, really, of all of this, where I looked at my cat. I had no one else to talk to. I'm just talking to the cat. And I said, man, did we make a mistake? Is this a sign? Like, the world is against me right now. Did we make a mistake? And that's what I told my cat. And then some neighbors came out, and they helped. They knew where there was like a hidden key, and they find this hidden key for me. They opened the main door. I can't get into my apartment, but now I'm in the building, and they're able to open the gymnasium for me. They didn't speak a word of English, but they knew, they could kind of tell what was going on with me. They opened the gym, so I got my suitcases, I've got my cat in the cage, and myself, and I ended up sleeping on the gym floor for the rest of the night until the janitor found me in the morning. And that was my first night in Bangkok. Not very ceremonious. A lot of things went wrong, a lot of doubts, a lot of reasons to be like, oh my God, what have I done? But I did it. I got through it. And to be honest with you guys, it was like the best thing I ever did. I mean, since that time, I've had a low cost of living. My business online has done pretty well. I've made friends here. I mean, that first day made me want to quit like nothing. I was like, oh, come on, I have made the biggest mistake ever. But no, I mean, in the end of it, getting out of my comfort zone and just attacking this and dealing with these crazy problems that were happening and just saying, okay, just keep going forward, just keep going forward. It eventually led me to the life I have now. It wasn't a great start, but here I am. Oh boy, that was a long ramble. All right, I guess we're gonna leave it there. Hopefully I will do more videos in the future. Like I said, I gotta get the channel monetized. Once I can do that, I'll start doing these things. If you guys got any questions of any kind about Bangkok, about, I don't know, about whatever, just something you want to hear me babble about, go ahead and leave a comment. All right, guys, thanks a lot.